Private equity has always played a central role in German M&A activity. Germany provides a huge amount of potential targets for private equity practitioners to invest in. However, it's also been faced with a variety of problems when executing transactions. I've been joined by Sarah Syed, Merger Market's private equity correspondent, to talk to me about what practitioners are facing at the moment. Sarah, tell us a little bit about what you're hearing from market sources.
Generally, private equity investment has reduced since 2007, and Germany's buyout volume has decreased quite significantly since the Lehman times. Private equities are holding on to portfolio companies for almost twice the amount that they were holding on to them from 2007. This obviously has negative repercussions for when it comes to fundraising. It doesn't look good, obviously, for the institutional investors who are looking for a return on their business after the 5-year holding period. So when it comes to fundraising, if private equities find that they've been holding their companies for a little bit longer than they should have, they could face issues when wanting to raise a newer fund.
So is it fair to say that there's a huge amount of portfolio companies that are ready to be exited?
I have optimism that this year we'll see a flurry of private equity exits for the reason that I mentioned. Private equities are under a lot of pressure to exit the companies and return cash to investors. So I'm optimistic for the year ahead.
So tell us a little bit about how the exits are going to be taking place.
I think ideally what private equities would prefer is to list the companies, especially the larger ones or the ones to the larger end of the mid-market. However, the IPO market hasn't been very good. There were no IPO exits in the German market last year. So what's happening is a return to traditional secondary buyouts. If you take, for example, EQT's buy of BSN Medical, that was a 1.8 billion secondary deal, one of the largest in the market. And this isn't a private equity deal, but I mean, if you look at Evonik for the third time last year tried to IPO, but that was failed. So it's not a buoyant market at the minute, but secondaries are the way to go.
Okay, and are there any auctions that we should be keeping an eye on at the moment?
I think ones that the Germans are interested in, maybe from a slight nostalgic perspective, is Schleich. It's a toy maker. It's a private equity owned, and it's one that's it was pitted for sale last year, but recently Goldman Sachs had been mandated, or just before Christmas, Goldman Sachs had been mandated, and now it's a process that should be kicking off, and we expect to be wrapped up within the first half of this year.
Great, thank you very much for that, Sarah.